Good morning, everyone, and it's time for another episode of Exit Lever. This will be the last one on the first chapter of the book Exit Lever, the book we wrote to help all of you guys out in the process buying and selling a business. So we talked about buyers and we talked about the process in general, but you know what? Sellers can get stuck in the weeds too. The first place sellers usually get stuck in the weeds is the listing agreement. There's things in a listing agreement that's negotiable. Time, in the state of Nebraska, commission, even if the negotiation is, I want this, and the answer is no. It's still negotiable. There are things that are negotiable in the listing agreement. And then there are other things, other parts of it, clauses, that are in there to protect the broker. There's parts of it that are in there to protect you. And when you get stuck on a part that doesn't really matter or has a very slim chance of happening, and you start wanting the entire agreement changed and all the legalese changed, most brokers will decide to move on instead of take your listing and expose themselves to additional risk. So while it's important to read and understand listing agreements to make sure that you're not on the hook for, like a prepayment penalty, or you're due a full commission whether they sell it or not, because there is some bad stuff in some listing agreements I've seen around here. Ask questions. Make sure you understand it and move on. Negotiate important. Don't negotiate stuff that doesn't matter. Because what happens is, if you remove clauses in there that protect you and problems happen and it goes to court between buyer and seller and broker and there's a legal mess, I promise you, when something goes to court, it's lose-lose, and the only people that win are the attorneys. And that's not the outcome that we had in mind. Another part I see is a lot of people watch reality TV. They watch all these hardcore negotiation strategies and things like that. They get stuck on small stuff in negotiation. If you're negotiating like a $1.2 million deal, and you're focused on something as minute as whether or not a TV stays with the business, you done screwed up. Look, a $700 TV compared to a $1.2 million deal does not matter. See, when you talk to a broker about listing your business, you need to give them a list of everything that transfers with that business. That way it's all noted, it's all in writing, and that way when it comes closing, and you do take that TV, and the buyer gets upset about it, we can go, hey look, it's listed right here in the inventory and equipment list that this TV is going with the seller. Don't wait till last minute to negotiate, take TV off the wall. That doesn't work. People get hung up on stuff that they feel like they gotta win this hill for pride's sake when it doesn't really matter. When you go to sell your business, you have to have a process. Whether it's do it yourself or with the broker, you have to have a process. Selling a business is a full-time job. Between coming up with the advertising, implementing the marketing, putting the valuation on it, fielding the phone calls, answering the questions, gathering the material for the interested parties, doing your due diligence, making sure they're real, writing up and negotiating the offer, figuring out whether you should take a deposit, doing the legal documents, finding a lender, getting it through that, getting all the contingencies out of the way, taking it to closing, doing the training period, and doing it all while you're running your business. Your job is to run your business. Our job is to sell your business. Another agent's job is to sell your business. Why would you want to try and do two jobs? You're very, very good at running your business, otherwise you wouldn't have a sellable asset. Why would you try to do a job that's not in your lane? And if you do, make sure you know how to do it. Have a plan, write it up, sit down with someone like me. We're more than happy to consult with people that are going to go do it themselves. Because our goal is that you do it successfully, no matter how you do it. I'd rather do it for you. That's how I keep my lights on. But if you're dead set, talk to someone like me. We'll give you some ideas, some pitfalls to watch out for. Make sure that stuff gets done the right way and have a plan. Because a lot of what we see is post and pray. Well, I'm going to sell my business, or, you get non-experienced brokers, not veterans. We're going to put it up on Biz by Sell, and we're going to put it up on the commercial CRS, and we're going to put it up on the listing service, we're going to put it up on Craigslist, and somebody will call us. Well, I don't know about all y'all, but not a whole lot of my buyers come off of Post and Pray. You need to have a plan. You need to have a strategy of attack. You need to know how to market a business. You know, for example, as of the time of recording this video, I've got a psychiatrist office listed up in Iowa. So you have to be a PhD psychiatrist to buy it. Do you think Post and Pray is going to work in that? Put it up on Craigslist, put it up on all the other sites, the 150 sites we use? Maybe. But for something that specific, that niche, you have to have a plan of attack. Whether you're doing it yourself or you're using a broker, whoever is in charge has to have a plan of attack. You have to know how to get it done. Like, I'm personally calling PhD psychologists. I've gotten on the Iowa website, or the Iowa government website that has a list of every PhD psychologist in the entire state, and reaching out to each and every one of them personally, while I'm implementing additional marketing for psychologists out of state, because I have a 3-month window to find a psychologist out of state before the Iowa state requirements limit my search to just PhDs in Iowa to get it done in the timeline that my client has set. So you have to have a plan of attack. And if you're going to go talk to a broker, they need to be able to explain their plan of attack to you. Otherwise, it's Post and Pray, and you could have done that yourself and saved the commission. Whew. That's a whole lot of rambling about that. So here's another thing. A good thing. Information. When you have an interested party as a seller, when a buyer is interested and they have questions, you have a 48-hour window. You have a 48-hour window to get the answer and the information to your broker or to your buyer if you're doing it yourself. Why? Because after 48 hours, the majority of them move on. See, we have a short attention span in our day and age now. And the other side of it is if you can't get the information to them within 48 hours, what are you hiding? That's the first thought they have. So whether you can get them the exact answer they want, you have to get them some kind of answer quickly. So I tell my clients when they're working with me, you need to program my cell phone number into your phone, and when you see my name come up, you drop whatever you're doing and you answer the phone. Because I have a question, and I have a question that is on a timeline now. It's important enough for them to ask, that means it's important enough for you to answer. So, remember that. Now let's talk about some killers. So killers are mistakes you can make that can kill your business as part of this process. So, if you're a service industry, or any industry that has a client list that you do repeat business with, and a buyer wants that list, and you give it to them, you just took a huge gamble on your business. Because if you give them what's considered confidential business information, and they use it against you, how are you tracking them? How are you watching them to make sure that they're not stealing your clients, they're not going out there and starting a competing business? If you gave them for free what they should have paid you for, what are you selling? You know, that's the biggest one we've run into is buyers will request the confidential list of clients. You know, who's your clients? How much do they spend? What do you make off them? How long have they been with you? And sellers' first instinct is, yeah, we can give that to them. No. You never give your contact information to the buyer. You make a list, numbered or lettered, A, B, client A, client B, client C, this much business, yada, 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 because you can prove it, but you don't give it. Because what happens if you give your full list? And 6, 9, 12 months later, they're doing business with them. How did you keep track of them? How did you follow them to know that you got screwed? It's a killer. Don't do it. Broker's job is to protect you from making mistakes like that. That's why you pay them. So, you know, just one more thing to keep in mind. So, as we get close to the end of this chapter, see, the process is a little different for the seller. You'll have the broker walking you through everything, so I'm not going to go and beat the dead horse of going back through the process again. But here's some questions as a seller that you need to have in mind. If you're going to work with a broker, even if you're just interviewing brokers, ask them how they're going to market your business. Get a detailed description. Don't just, here's what they're going to tell you. We're going to post it up on 100, 200 websites, and we're going to send it out to our buyers list. Well, that's the same BS answer that every salesperson you're going to talk to is going to tell you. What else do they do? Nail them down. Guys, this is the biggest financial investment of your life. Put that broker on the spot. Make sure they're working for you and make sure they know what they're doing. Ask about communication. Some brokers are going to keep in touch with you. You know, some of my brokers will reach out to every one of their clients every week and let them know how it's going. I'm not one of those brokers, unfortunately. See, I know my weak points, and I believe my clients pay me to sell their business, not to waste my time filling out a bunch of reports and emails and stuff like that every week saying, hey, this is how many people have seen it, this is what we're doing. I firmly believe that if I reach out to a client, it should be because I need something and it directly relates to selling their business. I'm not a handholder. I can be, I usually ain't. It's just the way I am. So ask your broker about their communication. So that way you know up front what you're getting into. So that way if you're looking for someone to reach out once a week and you're hiring someone that doesn't, you're not upset. Ask about the listing agreements. Understand the things in it. So let me tell you guys something. If you're paying the commission for the business upfront, non-refundable, you're making a mistake. A retainer of some sort is fairly common. A marketing fee is fairly common. But if you're paying $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 up front, you're getting scammed. I hate to be the one to say it. If they're taking that much money up front, they have no motivation to sell your business. You want a broker that has a very minimal or no upfront fee, or they charge you for the valuation. You know, certain things are acceptable. But if I'm good at what I do, I get paid at closing. If you want me to do something crazy, it's going to cost you extra, but I get paid at closing. Why? Because I don't take listings I can't sell, and if I can't sell your business, I'm wasting my time. It means I'm not going to get paid. So you know, on a broker that gets paid at closing, you have a motivated agent working for you. And there are a lot of brokers in the industry that do expect to get paid up front. They don't care if they succeed or fail. Don't fall into that pit. That's not the way it works with all of them. I'm a little, as we can tell, I'm a little vehement on that point. Ask about valuations. Your broker should be able to explain how they valued your business, how they pulled up the comparables, where they came from, what databases they used, how this works. If they cannot coherently explain to you how that valuation works, you're dealing with the wrong broker. A good broker is knowledgeable about every facet of what they do. And they should be able to communicate it to you. Because if they can't communicate it to you, how are they going to communicate it to the bank, the buyer, and everybody else? So ask questions. How did it come by? The example I have for you is my smallest database has 15,000 businesses in it. That's my smallest one. I have access to several of them, and that's my smallest. If I go look on the commercial real estate listing site and I pull up their comparables, here in my area, there's less than 100. So make sure your broker, when they're doing the valuation, is using accurate metrics. You can't value most businesses if your database is 100. You have to have thousands to come up with a comparable that's going to stand up to anything. And lastly, it's a touchy subject amongst all brokers. Ask your broker about co-brokering. Co-brokering is when another broker finds a buyer and brings them to the broker that's listing your business, and says, I have a buyer, can we make an offer and split the commission? The reason I tell you to ask this is because in the state I'm in, there's 2 companies that co-broker. We're one of them. The rest of them don't. Now, if you're hiring an agent to sell your business, their job is to sell your business. So that means it's their job. They have a fiduciary responsibility to act in your best interest. Now, this is another one I'm passionate about. They have a responsibility to act in your best interest. It's law. And their job is to sell you business. If another broker has a buyer and they refuse to co-broker and split the commission, they don't have your best interest at heart because they're not willing to sell your business because it's going to cost them some of their commission. So ask, do you co-broker and can I see that in writing? And who do you co-broker with? Make sure, because if you only have one agent and he doesn't co-broker with nobody, all those other agents' buyers don't mean nothing to you as the seller. But if you have an agent that co-brokers, and in other states, co-brokering is required by law. Here, not so much. But if they don't work together, it takes longer to sell you business. So, there's your questions that you should keep in mind. Now, when you don't follow the process, the exit you have planned for your business might not be the exit you get. So that's the end of the first chapter of Exit Lever. I'll start videos on the second chapter next week. You guys have a great day. And as always, if you got any questions, comments, concerns, ridicule, encouragement, post it in the comments. Leave me a message. Share the video. You can see I'm getting on some topics that I'm a little passionate about. But my opinion is my opinion, and it's not shared by everybody. So, you guys have yourselves a great day. I will see you all next week, and stay warm.